Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between podcast. I'm Renee Lipsmeyer. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on these videos. Thanks again for watching. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between podcast. Today is going to be a little different than the things that you have watched in the past, whether you've listened solely to our podcast, which I think we're on season 2, episode 4. If you haven't gone back and listened to season 1, I like to think that that's the get to know me phase. You're going to hear a lot of shit in those 20 episodes about Dave Matthews Band, but then also a lot not about Dave Matthews Band, about like what we like to do as people, and then kind of how we got into making YouTube channel through our podcast. So thanks for staying and following us and listening to us. Today we're going to do something a little different. This is my friend Leah. And if you are a fan of our podcast / YouTube channel, you've met her before, or at least you've heard her voice before, because, well, I don't know. It's like, can you say something so our fans can recognize?
I don't understand the diehardness of Dave Matthews Band fans. I don't.
She's our one that's not a Dave Matthews Band fan.
I was at a concert, but didn't make it to the show.
Tell us more. How did that happen?
I overdid it on either the devil's lettuce or the half pound of ice cream I thought would be a good idea to eat. I went on a very, very, very bad trip. It was awful.
So bad that she has, again, like, go back and listen to our podcast to hear the
Never
full
been
story.
to a show. And it was in Omaha, front row, pit, rail, all of it.
And she didn't make it.
I didn't make it.
Not even to the first note. So if you're curious about how all of that happened, then go back and listen to our podcast. That's not on our YouTube channel. It's just back in season 1 of our podcast. And so I don't remember what it's called, but look for like around November, because it was when Dave and the boys were in Omaha, Nebraska. And so that's where she failed to see the Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah. It was lovely, though.
She made it to night 0. She made it to the pre-show. She made it to the show.
I made it all day.
Just not the show.
I just knew from being at a concert with you before, because the first concert was Marcus King Band, and I fainted and I got a concussion because my equilibrium with all the horns. And I knew even if I got to feeling better at the Omaha show, once it started, because I saw what was in front of me, I'm like, I'm out. I am out. I'm not fainting at a DMB show.
Because
I would have been on my own.
Yeah.
She made that clear. She goes, if you pass out at the show, you're on your own. Don't try to get my help. Don't try to holler for me. Don't try. Find a tent.
There's a medic tent in the back. And the reason why I know that is because my other girlfriend, Karen DeSano, let's see, this was in Charlotte 2021. We were together, but like not directly together, like our seats weren't together, so I didn't know what was going on. But after we met after the concert, I think this was Charlotte. It doesn't matter. Anyways, she proceeds to tell me that she spent the first half of the show in the medic tent because she got a little drunk and did something. I don't know, like if it was puking or, I don't know. But she said it was actually not that bad. I got to lay there and listen and have water and like.
She was living her best life. Okay, so I thought it'd be fun to figure out with you what it is about Dave.
Okay, so you're going to interview me.
I've got questions.
Do I have the answers?
Probably not. But you will just continue talking until you get to it.
Can you try not to make it too hard?
That's what she said, and yes. But, okay, so what was the first song that when you heard it? Because you have, like, the radios. You have, Crash Into Me or Crash, whatever it's called, and Ants Marching. But you've told me so many times, a diehard Dave fan, the songs that are on the radio, those are kind of trash songs. Like, you're not a true fan.
I mean, I don't want to say that they're trash songs because they're
Yeah,
not.
but like, that's not a hardcore Dave.
Yeah,
fan.
like I would say more than likely if someone's been listening to Dave for years and years and years and knows a lot about their music, they're probably, unless they have some kind of emotional or physical like attachment to that song, probably not going to ask for Crash or something like that. You're going to go into those songs that have never been on an album before, because that's one of the really cool things about the band is a lot of the songs have never been released except for on a live album. So unless you've been to a show or listened to a show, there's a lot of songs that mainstream people, listeners, have never heard before. And so I feel like it's really hard to judge a band, especially this band, unless you've at least attended some concerts or listened to live music, because it is so very different than what they play on the radio or what is even released on a studio album. So
what was this song that you were just like, oh my God, I get it. Like, I understand.
I mean, it's odd because like I can name the song and the time where it just like clicked in my brain, because of course I was always aware of the band. They came out in 91, where, in 91 I was 10, 11, somewhere right in there. So I wasn't listening to the Dave Matthews Band, and my parents weren't either. And so it wasn't something that I found out about until, later high school, early college, which I think a lot of people, that's kind of when they found Dave. And so,
Nope.
No, she's still waiting to find Dave. So anyways, Typical Situation was the song that when I heard it, and not even for the first time, but like there was a moment that I heard that song, just playing it like on a CD in my car, and it just clicked. And I remember that moment. Like I can remember being in the car and where I was and listening to that song and thinking, what? Like it spoke to me like in my head. And so that was kind of the song that pulled me in. And so I started to learn more. And honestly, it's been a journey, but I think that that's every fan's story, because this band has been here for now 32 years. And so it's been a journey for all of us.
Back in 91, didn't have internet. You didn't really see photos or videos like as easy as you can now. When you finally saw Dave Matthews, is he what you expected just from hearing his songs and then seeing him?
Well, to be completely honest, the first time I saw him was I had lawn seats, so I didn't necessarily have like the best view. Now, is the music what I expected it to be? Absolutely. But as far as like seeing the band on a personal connection and like, that doesn't look like him or whatever, I was just so far away that anything could have been.
But like when you saw the first photo of him, were you like, oh.
Gosh, I don't remember. I'm sure that there was something I thought, after figuring out who the man behind the microphone was.
Yeah.
But that's been many, many years.
Many moons.
Honestly, sometimes I don't remember like an hour ago. So me remembering what my first thought of a picture of Dave Matthews, you would think that would be burned into my brain because of what I am and what I do. But,
well, like I was diehard NSYNC when, in 98. I remember the first time I saw Justin Timberlake with that ramen noodle hair. Ooh, and that baby blue, like sky blue, like velvet outfit they wore in the Tearing Up My Heart video. It's a whole nother podcast. But
it's a whole different band.
It's a whole different band. A band that was made, like they were put in your face. You couldn't escape them. Honestly, I didn't think Dave Matthews Band was still around.
I think that a lot of people don't
I had no clue.
know that because, number one, their songs aren't played on mainstream music for like top 40. And so I think that when a lot of people, now that we're in the age of the internet, they get a lot more exposure, because before the internet, or even before it was so easily and readily accessible, people just weren't finding it because it wasn't played on the radio.
Yeah.
And still not played on the radio unless you're listening to like a throwback channel or some, something from the 90s, early 2000s, and then you'll occasionally hear a Dave Matthews song, but those songs that you hear are going to be those
Crash.
hits, Crash or Ants or whatever, which is fine. We love those songs, and
I mean, you will never hear, and this tells you how little of a fan I am. I never know if it's lying in our graves or lying in our graves. But however you say it.
This is a shout out to Bob Heron, because we know you love that song. And she loves that song because
you love it,
that
Bob.
song. But also it's a really great song that we feel like the band should play more.
The first time I heard it, it like took me there. Like on the edge of a cliff, your feet dangling, and you're just like, everything's fine. Like every fear is being washed away.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see everything.
It's such a happy song. Like you can't listen to it and be sad. Like,
no. What was that one song you had us analyze and it was so damn depressing?
I
can't remember, but I remember asking on the pod, like the person that requested it, if he was okay. Or she.
It's, I mean, whatever mood you need, whether it's sad or, I lost the love of my life, or I really want to get fucked right now. Like whatever your need is, Dave has got it in his music. Probably no one was expecting me to say that, but if you listen to my podcast, you're going to know.
I just want to know the first time. If you just saw Dave Matthews just on the street, not knowing he wasn't Dave Matthews, but he was just a normal, oh yeah, that's Dave Matthews, my neighbor. Take his songs, everything out of it. Would you find him attractive?
No.
But
I still don't. I don't think that
Karen.
No. Okay. First, let me say I'm so married to the love of my life. I love him, and he's amazing.
Yeah, it's not me. Even though we look like the lesbian couple.
If anything ever happens, she's next. Well,
I don't know where you were going. Like, I thought you were going to say if anything ever happened, like, ask Leah, which I was getting very like, no, like, don't ever make me a suspect. Like, if anything happens, like, I'm next with Justin, because Karen's going to fight me.
He's so good. He has a list of people out after him. So I'm so in love with my husband. But okay,
You say that every podcast
because I need to say that before I say this.
Those who protest too much.
It's like the disclaimer. Like I have to say a disclaimer.
I love my husband.
I love my husband. But, and he watches these, so I'm not hiding anything from him. Honey, I love you. And also I love Dave Matthews Band. Okay. Dave Matthews, the person, is not, he is not sexy or attractive to me, but.
You do not want to put that pussy on a mustache.
I'm not interested in putting
We were listening to Jay-Z earlier because why not?
Say that.
And it wasn't 99 Problems. It wasn't Big Pimpin'. It wasn't Listen, you talk, I'll look.
Okay, so again, what I was saying, I don't want to have sex with Dave Matthews. I don't. I'm not attracted to him.
Can I get a whoop?
Now, what I'm attracted to is what he can do with a song, what he can do with music. That he gets my engine back up.
I wish you wouldn't like lean in when you go. I'm just sitting here scared.
I'm like on a whole different level. Like I think I'm crying a little.
I'm like, truly hiding. Like, help me. Do you guys not see this?
I love the Dave Matthews Band, and there's that. I've loved them for years. I love the way they make me feel when I listen to them. But most of all, I love the family around the Dave Matthews Band, because there is a day where there will not be a Dave Matthews Band performing anymore, right? Like they're going to retire. Something will happen. That's just
How old
facts.
is Dave?
He's 55, 56.
Oh, he's fine.
he's good, but I'm just saying, like, we don't know the future, and so we'll always have the music. We'll always have the music. But what I'll also have are the friends and family that I've met with this band. And that's what this podcast is about. It's not about, I love Dave Matthews. I mean, that's something we all have in common. And I want to back up and say, I love the Dave Matthews Band. I don't, Dave's not my favorite or whatever. Like,
well, you like the little keyboardist. Like,
I really like the horn section. It's my favorite. I'm a stage left girl, like, if I can pick.
And I am a stage, go sit down in seats. That's right.
So this was just a tiny interview. Any more questions for me that you don't know about?
Few. The big debate, that fiddle player guy, yes. Do you think he should have stayed?
I don't think that's any of my business.
But I mean...
Okay, here's the deal. Like, I don't know 100% of what happened.
I'd never heard this story, ever. Like, I didn't know he left. I honestly didn't know he left. There's just so many members of the Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah, like, yes. I mean, it has changed. I wouldn't say there's been a lot of members, but it has changed
How
throughout the 31 years.
How many members currently are there?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Is that right?
Dang. 1, and 2, so they just get up there. 3. So do they know? Obviously, before a show, they have like, we're going to play these songs, like.
So
or do they just kind of improvise and go into one, and they all go, oh, okay?
I think they do a little bit of both. I mean, I think there's definitely a list that's written up because after the concert they pass those out, and so you can get a set list. So we know that there's some thought that goes into it before it actually happens. However, I mean, they own the band, so they have the right to change that if and when they want to. And so sometimes that does happen, where he'll walk out. Like, for instance, he came to Rogers in 2021, and we saw that, compared the set list to what actually happened, and it was different because when he came out on stage, it was raining cats and dogs.
Well,
and
Arkansas.
Yeah. Welcome to Arkansas. And so he changed the opener to JTR. So that happened. He changed it. So, but he does that often, or add something, or, maybe a special guest.
How come I hear JTR all the time? Is that the name of the song, or is that the abbreviation for a song?
That's the name of the song, but John the Riveter is what it stands for. But also there's a lot of other bands that sing a JTR.
Okay. I just hear that a lot. But, well, what do you think is the most overplayed song at a show?
There's no overplayed songs.
But, do you think it's, when you hear this song, or you're like, oh, yeah. You hear it at most of the shows.
I mean, I really do try not to be a brat fan, and I really kind of have to remember that this is a business. Mm-hmm. And not that they have to do anything, because they don't, but there are things that will happen at every concert, whether, if it's a new album, then you're probably going to play a song from the new album, no matter what. And so I think you just kind of have to realize this is where we are right now. We know we're going to have to get ready to hear some album songs, which is fine. And then some of the older stuff.
I think it'd be so hard after 32 years together that how to break down what songs. Because unlike, a country show or whatever, Luke Bryan, if his song ends at 3 minutes and 12 seconds, it ends. It might go to maybe 4. But Dave Matthews Band, a 4-minute song can turn into, 11.
Mm-hmm.
When did you start doing this entire, I'm going to go to multiple shows a year?
Oh, okay. So honestly, that all kind of happened by happenstance. I mean, honestly, it just did. There was never a plan to go to, more than one. Yeah. Okay. That's the plan. Is to go to more than one. That's always the plan. Now, what that looks like, I don't ever really even know until it happens, because, I'll talk to someone and they'll say, hey, we're just 4 hours from where they're playing tomorrow night. And then I'm like, oh, well, my God, I'm not going to let 4 hours separate me and the band. Let's go. And so we go. I mean, now I look at it a little differently than I have in the past. And in the past, life looked a little bit differently because I was working for someone else, right? Rather than myself, and doing this podcast and the show. And this really is my job now. And so it's hard to compare now and then. But back then everything was measured around PTO and, things I love, like my children and my husband and like the rest of my life, all wonderful things. But, now I have it all that I want. I'm so happy to be able to get to do this and to get to just document this time in history with a band that's changed millions of people's lives. And I'm just so happy to be reporting this story. I told my husband, now this is new. I don't even know if I've told you. I think I did. So I think that my plan behind all of this, and however long, hopefully this YouTube channel and the podcasts go on for a very long time, and hopefully the band is performing for a very long time. I plan to just hopefully stick around as long as they are around. But when it's all said and done, I'd like to use this time that I've got to really focus on my passions to write a book about the Dave Matthews Band. And so that's my plan to do with all of this. So thank you for helping me to write my story, because it's a happy one. It's like a dream come true, and I'm getting to write that book. And so I want to thank each of you for listening and helping me to pursue my dreams.
Huzzah! Huzzah! I did not know about the book.
I know. That is new. And so, I was like, what am I going to do with all this information? Because I've got to talk to so many fans that are not just fans of the Dave Matthews Band, but they're making an impact on the world. And so is the band. Listen to some of my past podcasts or YouTubes and talk about just the influence the band has had and the influence that the band will leave after they're gone. And so that's all we're hoping to do, is tell our story so that we can go down in history. And we definitely want the fanhood of this band to go down, so that later on our children can talk about the people of the Dave Matthews Band. And so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Right now, I'm just listening to you. That's all I'm doing.
I do want to make her give us a shout out.
Oh. If you like Bravo, pop culture, how to find a sugar daddy. I mean, we talk about it all. I have a little podcast called Can We Talk About with Leah and
It's a
Lauren.
sugar daddy right now.
No, it's my credit card company.
Damn it. Discover's name to like Daniel. Oh, it's just Danny.
That damn Daniel. God, it calls me every day. I'm coming, Daniel.
Giving me the shivers.
But no. My friend Lauren and I have a podcast called Can We Talk About. Right now, with everything going on with Tom Sandoval, if you watch Vanderpump Rules on Bravo, that's what we've been talking about. And I also have my own little travel business called Leisure by Leah. So if you need help getting plane tickets to the shows, you can find me at Instagram at Leisure by Leah.
Awesome.
Oh, and I'm on Instagram at Classic Skytops. If you watch Classic OCs, you would know.
Yeah, if you know,
Classic,
you know, right?
Real Housewives of Orange County. They used to wear these shirts called Skytops.
Okay.
And they'd have these little bejeweled things in them, and they were like the staple. So I did Classic Skytops because, one, the Skytops are iconic with Housewives, but two, I always watch the old seasons. Classic.
Look
Look at me.
Look at us. You know what? So last thing I want to say, because we're together and I feel like this story is just worth sharing. So a year ago, Leah and I worked together, and we always kind of just knew something was missing, right? We loved what we did, but we knew something was missing. And so we've taken this 9 months, has it been 9 months since we left a corporate position, to chase our dreams, to chase our passions, and to stop listening to what the world thinks we should do, and to do what we want to fucking do and say what we want to fucking say. And so thank you.
Not get worried about getting in trouble at work because of something that was said on a podcast.
No, I'm not going to get in trouble for anything I say. I can say whatever I want, freedom of speech, but also
That comes from the Bill of Rights that your son took a quiz on today.
Oh, 12th grade government. He was like, Mom, do you know what the Bill of Rights are? I was like, something to do with the government.
And the Constitution?
Yeah.
He goes, the first 10 amendments, Mom. Okay, that's
It's
cool.
been a hot minute since I've taken a government class. And, we should probably take government classes well past high school. Well past high school. But you know what? It would probably just make us sad.
I'm looking at my phone as you talk about government.
I
I
hate
get
the
so
No!
like,
Don't talk about that. And also, we never talk about shit like this because that's boring.
I literally went to my phone to answer text messages
She
during
was
that.
done with us, and we're
I'm-
like recording and shit. And she's like, I'm out. But that's okay because I don't want to talk about it anyways. Thank you so much for tuning into this random podcast. So again, this was just we were having a great hair day.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's.
Renee literally chopped off my hair like
I
3
colored
hours
it
before
red.
this. My hair was down to like here.
I colored it red and cut it, and I am not a licensed cosmetologist, but also she gave me full consent. So consent is the answer.
I was also under the influence of fun. Oh.
All right, guys. So every week we release a podcast and a YouTube video. And you never know what you're going to see on this podcast. The background of it all is the Dave Matthews Band, especially
Drugs.
and rock and roll. When I tell people I have a podcast, I say basically we're going to talk about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And if you're cool with that, like you can handle me because I don't have a filter.
No.